Hi everyone, this is Men's here playing the Tier 10 French tank destroyer, the AMX Foch 155 on Malinovka. It's going to be a little difficult with this tank because they have a lot of mediums, and one of the reasons the AMX Foch has difficulties, we're under fire, is basically once you move your hull or your gun, the accuracy really resets and blooms a lot more before it was nerfed, which it did need. And since you have a 3-round autoloader, you kind of had to stay out in the thick of things a little bit longer than you would like to at times, and you can take a lot of damage that way. This tank's really good at kind of hanging back a little bit, getting its shots off, and hopefully not taking damage before the enemy sees you. Now, the only reason why I crossed in front of him is I knew he was not loaded yet and he was not gonna nail me. But can't really get a quick shot off in this thing, so I'm not even bothering to stay over there. Now, armor-wise, you can stop some tier 8s, but most 9s and 10s can just cut through your frontal armor, and your side and rear is very poor. And mobility-wise, you're decently mobile, but you're not as fast as this tank used to be, and it's really a shell of its former self, and it's kind of frustrating to play if you've played the old one, but it's still a good tank in that you have a 3-round 750 damage autoloader. Just, you really have to play carefully because this tank can be flanked easily, you can take a ton of damage very quick, artillery can destroy you, and I like to let enemies kind of run into my aiming circle, or else if you're kind of trying to move around a lot, you're not really going to hit much of anything. Yeah, I'm not going up the hill, only because I know if I get up there and there's actually tanks up there, I'll take a lot of damage. I'd rather him spot and then me get a few shots before heading up. But since I don't see anybody up here, I will kind of bump up here to give this guy a little bit of support. And unfortunately our team is too busy fighting each other rather than focusing on the match. Now, if we can get a few spots on these guys still, I'll have a decent shot on him, but unfortunately, for the amount of time it takes me to actually aim in, they're gone. I really don't want him to be seen and then them hit me, so I'm just going to hang back a little bit. Okay, let's move a little bit. I knew that I could see him. Yeah, at least I hit him. Got kind of lucky for hitting him, but I'll take whatever I can get. Now, I chose to reload because I don't see anybody pushing up here. They're starting to move down the edge of the map here. So, I don't know why everybody is running to the hill. Our flag is back here, so I'm actually gonna start heading back because all of our tanks are running up here for some odd reason. Now, I might be able to set up And if I'm lucky, get a hit on him. Be nice if I had my shells, but I can't take them back. At least they killed him. I was kind of hoping the Batch Hat would be open for a shot, but he doesn't seem like he's stupid enough to run where we can hit him. But as of right now, we have absolutely nobody defending the base, except for a Leopard Run, one with 4 HP. A lot of gold. He was shooting. They're all shooting you in the side armor. There's probably no gold thrown at you. I'm just taking the long, a bit safer route until I can see this TD down here. There we go. Be nice if I can get a couple shots on him, 'cause he's a big target. Just gonna reload because I don't think the Object 907 will push. I could be wrong, but I'm just gambling, and I'd rather have an extra shot if I could get it. But these guys are really gambling on whether or not we're going to need to defend the base. Yeah, I know. I'm kind of sitting here, keeping an eye on it. I don't want to hop out into the base and get flanked if I can help it. But yeah, unfortunately our tanks just kind of pushed right into the enemy, which, thank God he killed that FV, but it's not good just diving head on in without kind of giving your teammates a heads. And of course, once I move, shit, I fucked that up. Yeah. I'm probably going to end up dead here. And this is not very good. I aimed a little bit low on that first shot. And this tank, it's not terribly accurate. I think it's .36, but it's just inaccurate enough to where for those mid-range shots, you can't aim well enough to hit most tanks in the weak spots, and it is kind of frustrating because this tank, while it does have a large burst capability, it's very hard to actually use it because often once you fire for the first time or even before, you're seen, so you're already having shells thrown at you, and your frontal armor, it's okay against tier 8s, but tier 9s and 10s, it's basically not there. So you're taking damage while trying to get all 3 shells off and then retreat, and oftentimes you can't actually do that because you just get nailed and murdered before that. So the AMX 50 Foch 155, it's hard for me to actually recommend people getting it. Me personally, I'm not interested in the French tank destroyers. However, this tank, if they do buff it in the future, I could see it being better if it got more mobility or some soft stats to the aiming time or load time, something like that. But currently, it doesn't have enough stats because it really has a little bit sprinkled everywhere as far as damage, armor, mobility goes. It doesn't have enough to where it's a good tank because it's very limited in what it can do, because you can get flanked easily, your side and rear armor is piss poor, and it's just very difficult. And when you fire, everything can see you, so it's not like you can really be at long range because bad camo when you shoot, and your accuracy isn't stellar. So it's just a very interesting tank to play, and it can be fun because 750 damage with 3 rounds fairly quickly is kind of fun to play, but at the same time it is frustrating to play this tank because it has a lot of limitations tied with it because of that auto-loading gun. Is he... I don't know if he quit, but he's not moving his gun now. So not exactly the best match here, but 3,715 damage. Spot it a little bit, but nothing worth noting because we pretty much lost. Yeah, it was kind of close at the end, but we got defeated pretty easily. We just kind of made it closer than what it should have been. The enemy kind of gave us a few things because they didn't exactly finish us off when they had the chance. Alright, so no artillery this time, which helps because, as you see, this tank, looking top down, very flat, easy to hit, and you can do a ton of damage if you get hit by artillery on this. And that's why you don't really care about XVM. It's not always right. Now, this is a press account, so I don't exactly have tons of stats. However, I do have enough battles if you look at it, but people rely on XVM way too much in my opinion. But I'm gonna head over to this left side. Yeah, I figured a lot of people would head on to the right because we have quite a few mediums and more mobile tanks. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of just sit back here to begin with, see if I can get a lucky shot off if somebody makes a mistake and pulls out here without staying in cover. Sometimes you can get lucky and someone just kind of peeks out from around the corner thinking that they're here before you, and you can get a quick, nice shot off. Alright, so far nothing here. I always make the mistake of moving like 1 second too soon, and then they see me backing around the corner and I can't head back around the corner and I'm kind of screwed. So I'm going to give it another second, but we should have, just judging by the enemies on the other side, a pretty good footing on this side compared to what the enemy team has over here. So I am gonna... Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna push up around that corner. I will push up around the next corner. Never mind. There's that waffle tracker back there. Let's kind of surprise him here. Surprise! I know this is gonna hurt me taking these shots, but if I can take out the object, that'll be nice. But I landed all 3 shots, I'll take that. Now, hopefully our team doesn't fall over here. Keeping an eye on them, but I'm still not loaded. try to help with the Z100. Surprise! Even though you knew I was here. There's that object. I don't know what that object was doing, but thanks for kind of pushing out there. Fortunately for me, I am not loaded, and I have two mediums bearing down on me. Probably gonna die here, so not too hopeful. But I think one's gonna head out over here on the left. I might be wrong. Or I probably am wrong. So what the, never mind, there he is. Yeah, I'm kind of screwed here. But at least I did some kind of damage. We're already behind, so it was a long shot. But unfortunately this tank, it's good at doing damage, especially when you're not being shot. However, trying to take damage or fight around corners when people are aiming at you, it's very difficult to play outside of a role of being in a setup spot and being able to do damage. And then once the enemy moves to flank you or push on you, then you lose a lot of your capability to actually do damage because it's very uncomfortable to play this tank. Your gun doesn't have a lot of left and right traverse movement without basically needing your hull to move. You don't have a ton of gun depression. Your tank's very long. You don't have a turret. There's a lot of downsides to it. But the 3-round 750 damage clip is nice. But in the situations, which there are many where you can't reliably use your gun, it's very frustrating to play this tank. But you can still do damage, just those moments where you wish you had a turret or you wish you actually had some armor, then you kind of fall on your face. But overall, 4,303 damage, only block 750 damage. But this tank, very good at doing damage and kind of supporting your team. But if your team falls behind or if you find yourself in a sticky situation, that's when this tank doesn't have a lot of flexibility and a lot of wiggle room to allow you to react, and that's where it falls flat on its face. But it can do a lot of damage, and it is fun playing with a 3-round autoloader like this. But is it as useful as other tank destroyers? Probably not. But some people will find this tank very fun, and the tier 9 without the autoloader is a little bit more reliable than the tier 10. So anyway, thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my website, wotguru.com.